Welcome back to BENDiGO. We're here in BELGRAViA, which is, the name has been taken from a very wealthy place in the West London area of England. So, BELGRAViA doesn't really exist today, but is the residue of a suburb that was back in the days of Sandhurst Town. And somewhere in the 1860s, it lost its name. It also overlooked New Chum. Now, if you were a new miner to town, that was your nickname. You'd be a new chum. Anyway, but we're going to walk around and discover the architecture of BELGRAViA and show you what we can find. So come along with us and let's explore. Our first start of the day is Lister House, which was built in 1881 by Mr. Lister as a private residence. In 1886, it became a schoolhouse, and adjacent an actual building to hold the school pupils was built. In 1916, it was converted into a hospital. The building on its right replaced an earlier building which accommodated patients. Today, it is in the hands of Monash University and it is students' accommodation.
Behind me, we have Marlborough Lodge. Picture this, 1869, the original house was built, and I believe it was to the left side of what you're looking at. Then in around 1889, a chap by the name of John Crowley came along and actually built this, not personally, but I'm sure he had the dough and the resources to build this stucco facade that is very ornate and very becoming of the era. Now John, he was a bit of a lad around town. He was actually part owners in the Shamrock Hotel. Shamrock, Irish pubs. I reckon there was a bit of money in the pubs. Anyway, I'm sure he used a lot of that money to finance this joint behind me. Now, John Crowley was also a mate of the Archbishop of the Sacred Heart. And so if you can also take your mind back to what we talked about, because the Reverend Backhouse was the one who actually put those plans aside in the 1860s for the church that later got built around 1890. So a lot of history in this place, and Reverend Backhouse actually died in this property around the mid-1880s. Okay, cheers guys.
House was built for John Boyd Watson. He was one of the richest men in Australia last century. He had this pair of semi-detached houses built in 1874, one for himself and one for his sister. I'm standing at Osborne House, which was built in 1869. To the left of the building was probably part of the original design. It was actually opened up as school, and it was here until 1880. Then the current owners who bought it back in that year decided to add the classical architecture facade at the front of the building, giving it its ornate look. Quite impressive and quite beautiful for a building of its time.
Good Friday, 2023. Needless to say, what is behind me is the Sacred Heart Cathedral in Bendigo. What a significant and magnificent structure. It was also a vision in the making. It was actually built between 1896 and 2001. The vision of the church goes back to 1855, but it wasn't until 1896 that building actually commenced, and the church was consecrated in 1901. But that wasn't a completed church. It actually took them until 1977 to complete the church. And that was probably in the last 20 years where the significant development took place to come to this final masterpiece. Come with us as we show you the interior of this particular cathedral. They actually put lots of energy, creativity, and wealth into this building.
Fortuna Villa was the home for George Lancel, Australia's quartz king. It was built in 1855, with further additions made from 1876 to 1904. Well, we've almost come to the end of our tour today. Behind me is Central Deborah Gold Mine, which ceased in 1954. But if you're a new chum to this area, you would have been a digger with not much experience. But there was a whole lot of wealth back in the 1850s to be made. As you can see, there's a tram pulling up just behind me. The talking trams are a great way to take a trip around Bendigo and learn the history of the town, and also drop into Deborah Gold Mine and learn a little bit about the history of Bendigo and the gold mining era. Well, that's all from us today. We'll catch you on another adventure. See you again. Bye.